All right, let's dive into a region that's been making headlines for years, but is often misunderstood or oversimplified in the news. We're talking about the Donbas, a name you've probably heard, especially in the context of recent conflicts. But what exactly is it, and why does it matter so much? Geographically, the Donbas sits at the far eastern edge of Ukraine, right up against the border with Russia. This proximity has shaped its history, culture, and politics in profound ways. The word Donbas is actually short for the Donets Coal Basin, a vast area named after the Donets River that winds through the region. For over a century, this land has been known for its rich deposits of coal and minerals. The Donbas is made up of two main administrative areas, or oblasts, Donetsk and Luhansk. These are not just names on a map. They're home to millions of people, bustling cities, and a unique regional identity. Historically, the Donbas has been the industrial heartland of Ukraine. Its coal mines, steel mills, and factories powered the Soviet Union and later, independent Ukraine. Generations of families have worked in these industries, shaping the region's character and economy. But its location right on the Russian border has always made it a crossroads, a place of both connection and tension. Goods, people, and ideas have flowed back and forth, but so have rivalries and disputes. Many people in the Donbas speak Russian as their first language, and Russian culture is deeply woven into daily life. You'll hear Russian spoken in markets, schools, and homes, and see Russian traditions celebrated alongside Ukrainian ones. But this doesn't mean the people here aren't Ukrainian. In fact, their identity is complex, a blend of Ukrainian and Russian influences, shaped by history, family ties, and personal experience. The Donbas is where Ukraine's industrial might and its complicated relationship with Russia come together, sometimes peacefully, sometimes in conflict. It's a region of resilience, but also of deep divisions. To truly understand the current conflict in Ukraine, you have to understand the Donbas. It's not just a battleground. It's a symbol of larger struggles over identity, sovereignty, and the future of the region. The fight over Donbas isn't only about land. It's about history, industry, politics, and most importantly, the people who call this place home. Their lives and futures are at the heart of the story. For centuries, the Donbas has been pulled in different directions, by empires, by ideologies, by economic forces. Each era has left its mark, making the region what it is today. Today, the Donbas stands at the epicenter of a struggle that will help determine not just Ukraine's future, but the security and stability of all of Europe. Understanding Donbas means understanding why this conflict matters to the world. To truly understand Donbas, we must turn back the clock and journey deep into its layered past. The story of this region is not just about borders or resources, but about people, cultures, and the tides of history that have shaped its unique identity. Once a sparsely populated frontier on the edge of empires, Donbas was largely overlooked until the discovery of vast coal reserves. This black gold transformed the region almost overnight, drawing the attention of the Russian Empire, which saw in Donbas the potential for immense industrial growth. The coal deposits led to rapid industrialization, and soon, mines and factories dotted the landscape. People from all corners of the Russian Empire flocked here, seeking work and opportunity, turning Donbas into a bustling industrial hub. This migration brought together a mosaic of cultures and backgrounds. While the region was ethnically Ukrainian, the influx of Russian-speaking workers and administrators made Russian the dominant language in cities and factories, blending traditions and identities. Under Soviet rule, this process only intensified. The Soviet government poured resources into Donbas, building massive factories and expanding coal production. The region became known as the industrial heart of the Soviet Union, a symbol of socialist progress and power. The Russian language was actively promoted in schools, workplaces, and public life, while expressions of Ukrainian identity were often discouraged or suppressed. This left a lasting mark on the region's cultural landscape. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Donbas suddenly found itself part of an independent Ukraine. For many, this was a moment of hope, but also uncertainty about the future. The transition to a market economy was harsh. Factories closed, unemployment soared, and many residents felt abandoned by the new government. The economic hardship deepened feelings of nostalgia for the Soviet era and a sense of being left behind. This complex history helps explain why many in Donbas feel a strong connection to Russia, rooted in shared language, family ties, and memories of a more prosperous past. The region's identity has always been shaped by labor, language, and politics. often manipulated by those in power for their own ends, deepening divisions and loyalties. Today, Russia frames its actions in Donbas as a defense of this shared history, using the past to justify its present ambitions and influence in the region. Let's talk about money and resources. Before 2014, Donbas was Ukraine's economic engine, producing a quarter of its exports. It sits on one of Europe's largest coal reserves, fueling steel and chemical plants. This industrial complex was crucial for Ukraine and integrated into the global supply chain. For Russia, controlling Donbas is about seizing economic assets and denying them to Ukraine. Losing Donbas is a devastating economic blow to Ukraine, crippling its industrial base. The war has destroyed much of this capacity, but Russia's long-term goal is clear. By controlling Donbas, Russia weakens Ukraine economically. Donbas also holds critical resources like lithium, titanium, and rare earth elements. These are essential for future technology and energy, making Donbas a valuable asset. Seizing Donbas positions Russia as a major player in the future economy. Beyond its economic value, the Donbas region holds immense strategic significance for Russia, shaping not only the local landscape, but also the broader geopolitical balance in Eastern Europe. For Moscow, Donbas is far more than just a contested territory. It is a powerful tool in its ongoing struggle for influence and security. By maintaining control or even just instability in Donbas, Russia is able to exert constant pressure on Ukraine. This pressure keeps Ukraine in a state of uncertainty, making it difficult for the country to stabilize politically or economically, and effectively blocking its path toward deeper integration with Western institutions. As long as conflict simmers in Donbas, Ukraine remains a risky and unpredictable partner for organizations like NATO and the European Union. The ongoing instability serves as a barrier, preventing Ukraine from joining these alliances and keeping it isolated from the West. This approach is not unique to Ukraine. Russia has used similar tactics in other former Soviet republics, such as Moldova's Transnistria region and Georgia's breakaway territories, to maintain leverage and prevent these countries from drifting too far from Moscow's orbit. The overarching goal is clear: to keep neighboring nations within Russia's sphere of influence, ensuring that they remain dependent on Moscow for security and political direction. For Ukraine, Donbas is a critical battleground, not just for territory, but for the right to determine its own future. Whoever controls Donbas holds a powerful lever over Ukraine's destiny, shaping the country's choices for years to come. From a military perspective, Donbas is also vital. It provides a potential land bridge to Crimea, allowing Russia to reinforce its hold on the peninsula and secure the strategic Black Sea Fleet, which is essential for projecting power in the region. Control over Donbas also means dominance over the Sea of Azov, a crucial maritime route for Ukraine's exports. By restricting access, Russia can strangle Ukraine's maritime trade, further weakening its economy and increasing its dependence on Moscow. Politically, the ongoing conflict in Donbas serves another purpose for the Kremlin. It is used to rally public support within Russia, uniting citizens around a narrative of defending Russian interests and compatriots abroad. The conflict is often framed as a necessary defense of Russian-speaking populations against what is portrayed as a hostile government in Kiev, reinforcing a sense of shared identity and purpose. This narrative taps into deep currents of Russian nationalism, distracting from domestic challenges and channeling public attention toward external threats and patriotic causes. Ultimately, for the Kremlin, Donbas is a versatile instrument, serving both foreign policy ambitions and domestic political needs, making it one of the most strategically important regions in the ongoing struggle between Russia and the West. This conflict is deeply rooted in culture and identity. Donbas is where Ukrainian and Russian cultures meet. Russian has been dominant due to historical migration. Many identify as Ukrainian but share cultural ties with Russia. Moscow promotes the idea of Ruski Mir, a broad Russian civilization. Kiev's efforts to promote Ukrainian identity were exploited by Russian propaganda. Russian media shaped perceptions, portraying Kiev as hostile. This disinformation created fear and alienation, fueling conflict. Armed groups backed by Russia tapped into these fears. The cultural divide justified violence, framing aggression as humanitarian intervention. How did tension explode into warfare? The fuse was lit in 2014 in Kiev. The Euromaidan Revolution ousted pro-Russian President Yanukovych. A new pro-Western government came to power, alarming the Kremlin. Russia swiftly annexed Crimea, setting the stage for Donbas. Armed men, many Russian operatives, seized buildings in Donbas. They declared independence, calling for Russian help. This was a Moscow-directed operation, not a local uprising. Ukraine launched an anti-terrorist operation, starting the war in Donbas. The conflict simmered for years, creating a humanitarian crisis. The 2014 revolution ignited a fire in Donbas, fueled by Russia. What does Russia say? They claim a special military operation for specific goals. They cite protection of Russian speakers, accusing Ukraine of genocide. They claim denazification, despite Ukraine's Jewish president. NATO expansion is another reason, seen as a threat to Russia. Ukraine's NATO ambition was a red line for Moscow. Russia argues its actions are defensive, securing its backyard. They aim to demilitarize Ukraine, neutralizing it as a military power. These reasons form Russia's justification for invasion. It's a narrative rejected by Ukraine and most of the world. How does Ukraine see this? They view it as unprovoked aggression. It's not a civil war, it's an invasion aimed at destroying sovereignty. Claims of genocide and Nazis are seen as pretexts for land grab. Ukraine's desire to join NATO and the EU is their sovereign right. They seek to escape Russia's shadow, aligning with the West. The international community largely agrees, condemning Russia's actions. Sanctions and aid support Ukraine, viewing the invasion as a global threat. Some countries remain neutral, but the dominant view is outrage. Russia's reasons are seen as a smokescreen for empire building. It's a struggle for Ukraine's right to choose its own path. Why does Russia want Donbas? It's a tangled web of motivations. It's about history, reclaiming a part of its cultural world. Economically, Donbas is a treasure chest of resources. Seizing it strengthens Russia and cripples Ukraine. Strategically, Donbas keeps Ukraine unstable and out of Western alliances. It's a land bridge to Crimea and a rallying cause for Russians. It's about re-establishing a sphere of influence. Russia's desire for Donbas is nationalist ambition and strategic calculation. It's a rejection of Ukraine's sovereignty. The battle for Donbas is a struggle over history, identity, and security.